Hey, Christian.
Howdy, howdy.
How's it going?
Oh, good. Just running around right now. Glad I was able to make it on time.
All right. Well, we're actually live and local, everybody. In fact, why don't we get rolling? Because we got a lot to talk about today, and Jason and I have been talking about this for a week or two because we've been seeing some amazing things with our clients, and there's been so much disruption in the industry, obviously, but in online marketing in general, just the massive uptick of certain activities, massive downtick of other activities, keyword data, open rates, email rates, stories, anecdotes. We got all kinds of stuff to share with you about what's actually working and what's not working right now. Just a few housekeeping things is please feel free to ask questions. We haven't set up polling questions, and we haven't. We've got a smaller number of slides than normal because we wanted to give a little bit of time for questions. And Jason, maybe I should be letting you do this since it's kind of your show, and a lot of your people are doing this. But so forgive me for kind of being overly alpha here.
It's all good, bro.
So I've got some of my folks on here. There's a bunch of Jason's folks on here too. I think probably everybody here knows us, you and me. If you don't know Jason, he is one of my favorite people in the industry. He is just as kind of a serial entrepreneur, has done so many different things in the industry, but he's most widely known as a voice in the tax resolution space and really just tax marketing in general. That's how I met him. I reached out to him over email, I think like a decade ago, wasn't it, Jason? Or did you reach out to me? One of us. Did you make the first move?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
I don't remember who made the first move, but Jason is one of the smartest marketing minds in the industry, and we thought it would be fun to do some marketing jazz and pull in Christian, who's kind of an SEO genius. He's our director of search marketing. Say hi, Christian.
Hello. Glad to be here.
And Christian has slapped together a bunch of data that we are seeing from client stuff, some keyword data, some general trends that we're seeing. And we're going to share all this stuff. I'm the CEO of Tax Pro Marketer. If you don't know me, we are a marketing agency that serves independent tax practitioners and have since 2007. We serve people in the tax resolution space, classic CPA firms, EA firms, tax pro, short form warriors. But we really work with people who have a heart to serve and a heart to communicate and a heart to grow. If you want to grow, that's kind of what we specialize in doing. We started this back in 2007 to help implement. We're really an implementation engine for CPAs and tax professionals, EAs, et cetera, to help them actually get the stuff done. So we're going to share lots of content. We're here as a resource if you want help implementing. This is not going to be a pitch on our services or anything like that. But just so you do know, there's now which we've been hiring. We got 11, soon to be 12 people on our team. We're Google Premier Partners, which is the highest level of certification with pay-per-click advertising. It's like the top 1% of Google partners. Digital Marketer Partners, Yelp. Well, we should take off that Yelp logo. See
you later, Yelp.
Program, it's a whole story. I'll take that off next time. Or Infusionsoft partners, all kinds of things. Okay. Let's, Jason, if anything that you want to say, like housekeeping wise, before we kind of get into our little spiel. And I do want to tell everybody, this is by nature going to be a little bit of jazz, a little bit of, back and forth. Jason, because he's so smart at this stuff, I really want him, and I've invited him to interrupt, to ask questions.
I will.
Yeah, he's good at that. I want him to challenge, because what we're about today is just to serve and get you the best information possible. I want to hear what Jason is seeing. I want to hear what Christian's seeing. I really want this time to be useful. So we've done some prepping, we've done some planning, but we've also saved some time for Q&A at the end. If you've got questions, let me just say this, and then Jason, anything you want to add. please use the Q&A tab. The chat window can tend to get on fire in these things, the chat space, and that just kind of slides on down. It's hard for us to kind of keep track of things. So if there's stuff that you want to challenge me on also, please do. Like, you know, if there's things that you're seeing that's different, you know, please feel free to ask, or questions that you have about various components of what we're going to talk about. We're not going to be able to do a whole comprehensive kind of presentation on all of like what we do or what you should be doing. We're going to zero in on a few things that have been working now, but put those in the Q&A box and we'll try to get to those. So Jason, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I just really want to encourage everybody to pay attention to the data you're going to share. I haven't even seen the data that you're about to share, but I know that I kind of have an idea of what you're going to be sharing. So I want everybody to pay attention to the data, because if nothing else is going to sell you on the idea that you need to be tailoring your marketing communication to the conversation that's going on in people's heads, AKA the conversation that's going on online right now in terms of search terms, social media conversations, you need to align your marketing messaging with those conversations to generate leads, convert unconverted prospects to clients, and to also communicate with your existing clients to get them coming back. Because there's a lot of, you know, dazed and confused people out there that are looking for somebody to turn to for this kind of information. So plug into that.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. We're still compiling the data, and we may not have pulled together all the data that we could have. And there's some data that's still kind of opaque. I am going to start with some just big picture things, if that's cool, Jay. Because clients really do need your services. And I'm not talking about SBA loans here, although that's a huge part of things. Okay, obviously that's where a lot of the activity is happening right now. That's the burning issue for a lot of business clients, and the stimulus checks for 1040 clients people are searching about. And so part of the deal, and we have some data that proves that out. What we are really wanting to have you see is that clients need you now. And if you're not the one that emerges to be the person that will help them, they're going to find somebody who will. So you've got to implement certain specific marketing strategies. Email is a big part of that. I'm going to talk about that.
Good.
So clients need you. I think we're past this stage. I pulled together some slides from a presentation I did a couple weeks ago. I think we're past the panic stage at this point, because the way that everything is locked down, we've been living with it for a couple weeks now. There was a lot of panic for a couple weeks, and there were people making bad decisions. I know of tax professionals that shut down shop, which was completely crazy to me, because that sort of move that you make in a moment of panic, that's stupid. But the other thing that I'm seeing is the turtling effect. I'm seeing people just kind of responding and not really doing anything to be out in the community. Let's see. Somebody asked for a slide deck. Let me post that in the chat window, because that's where I'm going to be posting links. That's why I don't want you chatting too much there. But I did post. I've got some slides. We've seen some people turtle, and they're just responding, and that's kind of understandable given the volume of client communication you're probably dealing with. But you've got to carve out time and put brick walls around X amount of time, because yes, you can just serve your clients, and that would probably be winning if you serve your clients and keep them all during this time, especially business clients. But there's an opportunity here to really build something that can be much bigger than that, and to use this as an opportunity to build like way larger than you kind of are now. And we'll share. So ante-up in marketing, we'll show you some of the data on that, like the cost per click numbers and the advertising numbers. Long story short, advertising is on sale right now. So if you're doing any kind of advertising, and that's true of the vast majority of keywords. There's some keywords that are more expensive. There's new keywords. There's some keywords that are verboten right now, which is interesting. Like COVID-19 is a verboten keyword, so you can't be creating ads just around that word or what have you. But the real thing you need to be thinking about is entering the conversation going on in the minds of your prospects and orienting your marketing, whatever ad spend you're doing, your email marketing, your website messaging, your social media posting, any kind of communication. By the way, I hope everyone knows you can post to your Google My Business page with a status update. That's a really smart thing to be doing. I hope everybody is doing that on the regular. We're doing that on behalf of clients, and we're seeing great results there. So GMB posting status updates there, that's kind of a new thing that when we see people do that and when we do it on behalf of our clients, we definitely see significant kind of local juice for like where your listing gets found in search results when you do that. This stuff, again, this is some of the stuff that I talked about a couple of weeks ago when I did a massive webinar for our own list. We had like 700 people on this webinar. It was insane. But one of the things that I want to point out from this is just don't follow what everybody else is doing right now. A lot of people really are turtling. A lot of people just are serving their clients, and that's fine. But I would suggest, like, this, again, this is an opportunity to be a little contrarian and start growing and start investing, start anteing up into advertising. The reason why stuff's on sale, by the way, is because so many people are pulled back and the demand has gone down so much. So that's why advertising is on sale. That's why we're seeing Facebook and Google with these huge grants to get advertisers into it, because they saw the data weeks ago that their advertising volume was plummeting. All right, so now I'm going to shift to some stories just from the email marketing standpoint. There's probably three main things that I would suggest everybody really ante up in. The first and big one is email marketing. The second one is search engine optimization and kind of like building a website platform that can like from a website and a Google My Business listing platform that will be found in this environment. And then the third is advertising. But just a couple stories that we just got from like in the last week. This is a client of ours, and he said, I thought marketing emails were stupid and would never work. He'd been with us. We've been helping him with website SEO stuff and some other things, but he'd never done the email marketing. And then he started doing it in the last couple of weeks because I was telling my people, just got to be out in front of people. He says, my clients started responding. I fully expected snarky responses, but it's only been positive. I was shocked and realized I should have been doing this earlier. Another guy says, we've had great response to the recent emails. I've gained a few clients that have been receiving them for a few years. Thanks again for all your help. And the reason why that's happening is what makes effective email marketing work in this environment. First of all, what we're seeing is the email marketing that's working is relationship oriented, and it's written from a person to a person, where you are not just putting out a memo on the same kind of information they could Google about to find the components of the PPP or what have you. Yes, you want to put that information in there, but when you make it relational and it feels like it's written by you, and it's a trust building mechanism when you do it that way. So you're giving them real value, and this is another thing that I love about what Jason does. He's a huge proponent and executor of this principle, offering real value and not just pitch, agitate, which I'm seeing more and more in our industry. There's a couple gurus in particular that advocate this style, where they give a bunch of their accounting firm clients these emails that are glorified pitches. That's all they really are. They're not actually delivering value to the recipient of the email. And yeah, you can get some short-term juice from that. But if you are a real CPA or a real EA, you've got a real business, and you're sending your list pitch, especially if you're including clients on that, they're gonna tune you out. That's exactly what happens after a while. And you don't have that long-term relationship that's built, and it's just freaking annoying and sharky. And like, I don't think anybody on this webinar wants to be like that. So I don't know. I don't know if Jason, if you have thoughts on that component of things.
I do, but I don't want to ramble for an hour.
No.
but I totally agree. I'm not going to name names, but there's one individual in particular. You and I have privately talked about him. He's dialed back his rhetoric a little bit.
Yep.
The past several days, apparently. But this is, he's somebody that personally, I have the feeling that he's going to get a phone call from an SBA special agent here, 6 months from now.
Yep.
I see an injunction in his future. And many of his clients are going to have face, injunctions if not prosecution. So it's.
Well, let me say this, just to be generous. I do think that he and people like him saw a problem, and they leaped to solve it.
Right.
In the way that they knew, which was sell, and position clients to sell, and
right.
And he didn't do the due diligence to maybe put a brake on his impulses.
What's the phrase my mother always used, like think before you leap or something like that?
Right. And, you and I both were, and there were other voices in the industry. I think of Salim and some other folks that were really speaking about, and Dominique Molina, another one, who were really speaking about serving your clients and being their hero, being their port in their storm.
Right.
And that's kind of where I went to, because that's just kind of where I've landed personally. When you see your clients as a cash register, you're going to think about ways to get your cash register to ring. And so I don't think that that's how the majority of the accounting world thinks, fortunately.
Right.
But there's going to be a slice of people that do.
Well, you just said a key phrase, be a hero to your clients.
Right.
I mean, that is the mindset you need to have. You need to communicate that in everything you do. And it's kind of like this whole thing, Dan and I, we did a webinar on Tuesday, a continuing education webinar about the PPP loans. And, part of that, I took a few minutes to talk about the agent fee issue, and under the CARES Act, only the lender can pay the agent fee. And I mean, a lot of people weren't aware of that. Some people were ticked off that I brought it up. But 90-something% of people were like, I never even thought about charging for it. I'm just helping my existing clients with their PPP loan applications because it's the best thing for me to do. And yeah, there is some self-serving nature to it, because if their business clients go out of business, then their tax business goes out of business, right? There's a symbiotic relationship there.
Yep.
But most people never even crossed their mind to be sharky about it. They weren't even charging extra for those services, which is great.
Yep.
They're being a hero to their client.
Yep. It's funny. Chuck, who's one of our clients, Chuck Franklin, just put it in the chat window. I don't know if you can see this. He actually, I guess, has a client who, Chuck is, I guess he's another CPA. And he said the response that he got from this other CPA about what the email that we've been helping Chuck send out, he says, I'm very appreciative of the advice relative to fear, anger, and jealousy. Were you a preacher or a psychologist in a prior life? And that's because there's an opportunity here to go deeper when you are in this crisis mode with your clients. Yes, you can give them details, but where people really are living is in the place of emotion and fear and jealousy. And, there's the business owners who are seeing, the online people who maybe aren't as disrupted as others. There's the people who are unemployed that are seeing their friends that aren't unemployed. And there's jealousy there. And so you have an opportunity to actually speak to the real place of emotions for people, and what that does is it forms a loyalty into your client base that you can never, ever duplicate.
Well, another thing real quick. One of the things that I'm sure you get this too, because you and I both email to tax pros. And so we get onto whatever their newsletter lists are. They add our emails back. So we get a lot of those. And a lot of the ones I've been seeing are for the few that are doing it. Like, you should all be doing this. But one of the wrong ways to do it I've seen these laundry list emails with these deep details about what's in the legislation
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
That is the total wrong thing to be sending.
That's right. I mean, let me just say this. If I'm your client, I'm going,
Yeah, exactly.
I just want you to handle it for me. So give me the high points, give me the actionable information. Like, I better jump on the beginning, the PPP application like yesterday because the funding might run out. Tell me that so I can just start the process, and tell me the payroll report to run. And then, let's roll.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's exactly right. And the other thing that I saw a lot of people doing that annoyed me is just, here's how we're responding to the COVID-19 crisis, and like, we're cleaning more, we're telling people who are sick to stay home. Yes, obviously. Give me a freaking break.
You don't need to communicate that.
Yes, like, that's a given at this point.
Right.
I'm still seeing new ones of those come out, which is funny.
Yes.
So don't do that. So give real value. Toby wants to know, what message do you use for COVID-19? Toby, by the way, I'm seeing that question came through chat. Please use the Q&A because that's really what I want to know. So there's a couple questions that have come through already that I'm just going to stop and address. I do have Christian want to talk about some search data here, and he's excited to share. Toby wants to know, what message do you use? I mean, that's a much longer answer than I could really give right now. But for you do want to have a policy on your website related to COVID-19, so people know, are you going to meet in person or remote? Because there's some places that are still meeting in person because they're considered essential businesses. Some places are completely locked down no matter what. Most places you can still meet in person. But there are places, so you've got to have that policy on your website somewhere. But then you've got to have a lead into, how you can serve and how you're going to come alongside, and then real practical information so we split our email lists on behalf of clients to 1040 clients and business clients and resolution clients. And each of those will have a different message. Like resolution folks, they're breathing a sigh of relief right now for a little while, because the enforcement division is gonna. I mean, Jason, you're the expert on that. I know that there's
collections is closed. I mean,
yeah, there's going to be some massive activity probably 3 or 4 months from now.
July 15th is going to be a fun day.
Yeah, but in the meantime, they can breathe a little easier. So that's one issue. If that's your entire business, then you've got to pivot a little bit for the next couple months. By the way. So that's another thing we can talk about, Jason.
I'm going to disagree with you on that, but I'll circle back around to that later.
Cool, good deal. But then for small businesses, you got to talk about the PPP. You got to talk about the EIDL. I mean, you've got to. Once that kind of rush, probably after next week, because the Senate didn't do additional legislation, which is kind of crazy to me, because the PPP still is as a cluster. I have heard that now clients are beginning to get funded. Have you heard the same, Jason?
Yeah, and also this morning, as in literally today, this morning, the very first EIDL deposits were hitting banks.
Oh wow!
2 weeks later.
Yeah, when they said it would be 3 days.
Right.
So yeah, which is another reason why not to charge predatory pricing to people, to $2,500 or whatever, to get them the loan, because you're putting your delivery on the backs of a very overwhelmed SBA.
Yeah.
And you've charged $2,500 to a client to shepherd them through this process, and they're going to get antsier and antsier. So whatever. So that's the answer to that question. Rena wants to know, we've been busy focusing on existing clients for the past few weeks. Any suggestions to find prospects to include in our email marketing efforts? Yes, that's where search comes in. You can't just willy-nilly add people to your email list. You can't purchase a list, and start blasting at them, at least if you want to have any kind of good sending reputation. I know there's some like really black hat email programs that will enable you to do that cold email thing, but there's an art to it, and you've got to do it within particular parameters. Mostly email is a permission-based medium. You can't just throw a bunch of emails into your list and start emailing them. You've got to have an existing relationship of some sort, but you can put your like personal friends, your business associates, you are allowed to add prospects with whom you have some sort of relationship. And what we've been seeing is these emails that we've been sending have been getting forwarded all over the place, and new clients are being added. As long as you kind of keep adding that opportunity, like the ability for people to get on your list within the email, that's one of the ways to do that. Okay. Again, email, like, because we've been doing this, our score is usually in the upper 80s, 90. I mean, that's just normal. We've been like, our score for our platform is just shooting through the roof because of the open rates and such. I could dive a lot more deeply into the nerdy stuff about the email open rates and engagement stuff, but I'm just not going to do that because I want to get the other nerdy nerd on here. Christian, what's up, man?
Woohoo! Hey.
All right, so Christian is SEO nerdy nerd. And local stuff, nerdy nerd. So why don't you talk about local changes and local things? Because a lot of people, we haven't shared this information to anyone. So
Yeah. Release the beast. Here we go. So Google My Business, if you don't know what that is, that's where you're going to collect Google reviews. That's where people are going to call you. That's where they're going to get direction. So hopefully you know what that is. If you're one of our clients, that's set up. You're getting posts to that. I'll talk about that briefly. If you've got your own page, you're not with us, or you're not having anyone manage it for you, just a couple of things to note. Given the coronavirus, like all companies, Google has actually lost a lot of support staff. They've sent people away. They don't want people in offices. And so getting new reviews, getting edits made to your hours, getting anything dealt with on Google My Business is either not happening or is happening super slowly. And so what that means is, especially right now, tax season, generally speaking, you want to be pumping reviews onto your Google My Business page really regularly, because that's a very, very positive signal among thousands of positive signals. It's definitely probably within the top 10 of things you can do to make yourself look appealing to Google. And you can't right now because they don't have the moderators, they don't have the staff to review faulty reviews, which honestly they don't usually anyways. It probably wouldn't have really changed anything. Google Reviews is notorious for being really bad at overseeing flagrant, fake, spammy reviews. I don't know if you've ever had one of those where like a competitor left you a 1-star review with no post, you try and flag it and it never goes anywhere. They're basically saying, hey, we have no staff to do that now. And oh, by the way, they've never had it anyways. But that being said, if you don't get reviews right now, that's why. So if you're wondering, why did my grandma's review not land on my page? It's because it's not going to happen until this gets lifted. A lot of the support staff for Google is in India, and they've been hit pretty hard by this.
oh my gosh,
so all
India
those support
is
centers
insane right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're just living conditions. Obviously, it's more tight quarters, generally speaking, in the metros. And so it's something where they're kind of just putting everything on lockdown. So that being said, you can still get a Google My Business page published. If you don't have a Google My Business page published, this is, if there's some jazz element to this, if we want to, be cool and say that we're all being jazzy today, this isn't in my slides, but if you don't have a Google My Business page, stop what you're doing. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200 until you get a Google My Business page published, period. Even if we don't help you with it. Go
it's
to
almost
business.google.com.
more important than a website right now.
So we track with other folks in this space, and Nate, that's a perfect point to bring up. This is anecdotal. This is not official Google, content. This is just what other folks that we trust and stuff that we see too, and where this is probably going. This is what we're kind of speculating. Google My Business on its own is about 50% of how you're going to show up in your local market for keywords, not for your business name. If you don't show up for your business name, that's a problem. What we're talking about is ranking for accountant, tax help, tax service.
Anything localized keyword. Yeah, Google identifies certain terms to be like having a local intent, and that's when they display the maps.
And I'll talk about non-local intent keywords because obviously coronavirus right now, CARES Act, the SBA stuff, there's some keyword volume that's popped out of nowhere. But it's also not the same as the local-based keyword stuff we're talking about here. So here's your freebie, right? If you don't have a Google My Business page, go to business.google.com and work through the process of getting your page published. It's not always simple. They try and make it simple. That's why usually people like us help those pages get built. But beyond that, the next phase is getting those things optimized. And that is not easy. That is not clear, because like Nate said, what you still can do is you can actually post to Google My Business like a Facebook page, like a LinkedIn page. And this is the important part with Google. Even if no one sees your Google My Business page, which is highly unlikely, the thing we're trying to do here with Google is appease the robot overlord known as the Google algorithm. We want to make that robot happy as it relates to your local business. And so any signal that Google gives you the ability to use it, period.
Yep.
Post to Google My Business, get reviews. That also, you want to talk about some other signals? Blogging, not a newsletter, not tax tips. And we're about to show you some data for our folks who are doing all of this. And it looks really great. But these are some of the underlying things that we're doing.
So let just for the sake of time,
let's go there.
We promised an hour. There are questions that are coming up. Christian, we're about to talk about advertising. Somebody wants to know about Google stopping accepting ads for tax resolution, and we found some ways around that. So we can talk about that because that happened before the pandemic. That was like end of the calendar year. We were seeing that happen. And so we found some gray hat ways to get around that.
We're basically a team of Russian hackers over here beating the system.
Well, but yeah, let's move. Let's talk about advertising then. Okay.
Yeah. So here's the data. If you've seen one of our recent webinars, this is the same data, but this is pre-COVID-19, post-COVID-19. You've got 3 different graphs here: click-through rate, volume, and then cost per click from left to right. So accounting is our yellow bar, right? The click-through rate on ads has gone up 30%. The volume of clicks has gone up 23%. The cost per click of ads in the accounting space, which includes tax, accounting, et cetera, they've lumped it all together, is down 20%. So this is what we're talking about when we, discuss ads is on sale. This is a time where, like Nate said, generally speaking, everyone just got freaked out, right? Everyone at once freaked out, and what's the first thing you're going to cut back in your expenses? Probably your advertising, because you don't know what the heck's going to happen. Is anyone going to come into my office? Why would I advertise anyways? And the difference or the thing to kind of juxtapose along with that is your clients, your prospect didn't think the same thing. They actually are thinking this is going to impact me financially. Obviously, the CARES Act was getting debated on and then, obviously signed into law. And they're looking for you, and people backed off their ads at exactly the wrong time. This is contrarian thinking. If you've ever thought about contrarian investing or contrarian anything, this is a contrarian moment where everyone's pulling away. It doesn't feel right, but you actually should not. And if you're not advertising, it's a great time to start, because even though this data is now about a week or 2 old, that's actually not changed. We're still seeing that, and that's represented in the data I'm about to show you, comparing February and March for a number of our clients. So here's February. We have 2 different ad campaigns we're going to look at. One is a Google display campaign. That's banner ads. It's not keyword based. It's not AdWords. If you know what that is, right? You rank for a keyword, someone clicks, whatever the cost per click is, it gets deducted. Display campaigns have a totally different system for billing, and also where the ad is actually going to show up. It's around different websites. It's not on Google search explicitly. So February. 44,000 impressions, 50 clicks, 11.11% click-through rate. March, 64,000 impressions, 111 clicks, 0.17% click-through rate. Let's look at those side by side. There you go. So as you can see, same ad campaign, same stuff. We had, by the middle of March, we had changed all of our ad creatives to be coronavirus related. SBA stuff, COVID-19, the rebates, we reposition our ad clients on the fly. But not for all of March. Regardless of our changes to kind of, respond to the moment, there was still double the amount of clicks and way more click-through rate. And look at the scale here, right? An extra 20,000 impressions. So less time, 50% increase. Here's a PPC campaign. So this is AdWords. This is February. Different model, different way to do ad deliverability. Just look at a couple of things here. 5% click-through rate, 9 calls tracked. So we do call tracking for our AdWords campaigns. And let's look at March. 20 calls tracked, over 7% click-through rate. And I should have mentioned the cost per click, but let's just go to side by side so you can see it. There we go. Cost per click was $14 in February and it was $11 in March. And that's actually, for our campaigns, that's generally really high. His market is just one of those markets where there's extra competition, drives the price up. But we've seen a lot of campaigns go from $4 to $2, $5 to $3. We've seen campaigns drop off the map onto the data I showed you. The cost per click is going down, the volume is going up, the calls went up. So we tracked calls and we're able to, with our system, you know, he can listen to the recorded, you know, calls from his prospects and clients and see and track exactly who came from his ad campaigns. And we listen to those. And a lot of them are folks saying, please help. Yep. I need help with what is changing.
By the way,
so he didn't pull his ads. Go ahead, Nate.
I had a couple a question or two. You know, we're not pitching our services. Like you guys can do this stuff. I will say that advertising is one of those things that you might want some help with. You can get really burned with advertising.
Yeah, don't do this yourself.
Yeah,
I'll just make it a blanket statement.
Okay. All right. Well, you said it. I kind of agree. So if you do need help, at the bottom of that website, I'll put it in the chat window. You can fill out a quick like questionnaire to get on our calendar. We'll take a look at things. We're not going to hard pitch you on this stuff. We are going to analyze your local market area, give you a report of your online presence right now and what's happening right now. And you can walk away with that and start building stuff on your own, whether or not you use our services. So we've just kind of shifted to this model. I used to be more of the pitch guy. I used to be more of the, like, you know, buy now. And honestly, we found that it's more better to, yeah, no, I know. I'm an English major. I can make this stuff up. It's better to come alongside people, give them what they need, figure out exactly what makes sense for them. And if we can help, we can help. So that's at talktotpm.com. And you'll get a bunch of stuff there. I'll put that up there in the chat window in a little bit. But back to Christian, let's look at kind of the organic stuff, because so the local things are a big part of this. I mentioned the places to really ante up right now was email marketing, your local SEO and SEO in general, and your advertising. Okay, so we've already kind of covered advertising. Actually, before we move along from the advertising, Christian, why don't you talk real quickly about the tax resolution thing?
Yeah. Okay, so tax resolution from our friends at Google, who are specifically based in India, when they transitioned the primary support center to India from California for Google, there's been a lot of things that just kind of went haywire with how they categorize things. The tax resolution space is something, obviously, that's a legal business, that's not, you know, skeezy or like payday loans. But the people at Google have, unfortunately, at times labeled even some of our advertising clients as debt collection, as debt folk, debt professionals. And Google is not about that. Google doesn't let you advertise for firearms, for obviously illicit drugs, right? And debt collection, and you guys at times, as it sounds like some of you have experienced, get lumped into that. And so the way around that is it's not your ad campaign that got flagged. What it is it's your domain. So what you need is to build out a separate landing page for your ads on a different domain, same copy, same stuff, and our campaigns have been approved. Here's the Russian hacker, you know, tip for the day. Just build, or if you don't know how to do that, get someone to build you a landing page. We use ClickFunnels for our folks, so all of our ad campaigns don't actually go to the, you know, main firm website, because again, you'll lose attention. You need to keep attention focused when someone raises their hand and says, hey, I'm clicking an ad, I'm clearly interested. Don't ever dump someone on your site, especially knowing most sites in this industry, they're just not really designed for conversion. They don't really put people through a funnel. It's just, you know, rambling, here's my services and here's how I can help.
But it is really important to have your website ranking, because here's the deal. I think I put this in the email if you saw it today. You know, it varies in like search terms and local market areas, but generally speaking, the vast majority of clicks go to organic results.
Yep, about 75 to 80% of clicks don't go to the ad, they go to organic. And so you just saw some numbers of some really good ad campaigns. That's a quarter or
yeah, let's show you the organic results.
Yeah, let's
when you've
show
got when you've got a good website that's feeding content, being fed content on a regular basis. So
yeah, 4 clients I just picked and ran through their data from Google My Business. So again, this is partially Google Analytics, partially Google My Business, where there's actions. Let's flip through and start with our guy in Norfolk. He's only been with us not even a year yet. So he started with us last fall. Nate, if you can flip forward for me.
Yep.
We'll kind of rip through these. So this is over the last month. During the month of panic, during the month of pandemonium, these are smaller numbers for what I'm about to show you, but he's also not been with us that long, just to illustrate the point that people that have been in our system for, you know, just a few months are getting consistent results. And actually you can see the trend. There's definitely an increase. This is the same guy. You can post to Google My Business, and those posts include photos. Those photos get views. So I'm going to show you photo views for all these folks. Look at that bottom of the graph. This guy, because guess what? His competitor isn't posting at all, which has a lot to do with impressions getting found. Remember the signals with Google? His photos are getting 1,000% more views than similar businesses in his area. He's still getting people looking at him, looking for help. Now, an impression isn't a phone call, but it's still an important metric to look at. Here's the terms.
You guys do the Google My Business posting, right?
We do.
Yes.
Okay. We also, somebody asked if about the reviews. Amy asked, she said she's had several false bad reviews written about her long established practice. Does your firm help with this, or just SEO and ads? Yes, we do help with reputation management, which is what that falls under. That's review generation and handling nefarious reviews like that. That is something that we do help with. But again,
yeah,
I'm here to pitch. We'd be glad to help you, Amy, or whomever. Yes, that is something we do. But that's reputation management. So you could hire reputation management firms. Those that specialize in it will charge you like $1,000, $2,000 a month, maybe more, 5,000 sometimes, just for that service. And we charge a lot less, and we include that as well as a bunch of other stuff. So, you know,
yeah,
whatever. But again, it's not a pitch.
We're pretty awesome. This is this guy's Google Analytics. Okay, so this is web traffic. This is everyone on his website over the last month. Up 30% in sessions and up 85% in page views, which means people aren't just visiting the homepage. They're poking around. We're posting a lot of blogs related to COVID-19 stuff, SBA loans. Guess where they're going, which I'll show you in a moment where some of that traffic's landing. Colorado Springs, this gal's been with us since 2012. She's obviously someone that has been in our system for quite a long time. Small market, mid-market, you know, Colorado Springs isn't huge, and she's got a stranglehold on her market. She's had over 200 calls in the last month. She's not doing any ads. It's all organic. Let's keep rolling here. Photo views, yet again, you can see the number on the right. She's had 7,000 impressions, the number at the bottom. Again, over 1,100% more views than her next closest competitor. Here's some of her terms. That number 1 term is the name of her business. Here's a pop-up that we did. This is part of our response. For all of our clients who approved a blog, and even those who didn't, we posted a blog that Nate writes, and you know, it's an email, we blogify, we get it on our client sites every week. And some of these are going to be, hey, here's when we're open, here's how to get in touch with us, here's how to work with us remotely. And those blogs, and you know, hey, click here to call and send us an email. It's a pop-up for our client sites. Why do you think they're visiting your website right now? It's not normal times. They want to know about this stuff. They want to know your policy. They want to know your perspective. They want to get in touch with you. That pop-up makes it easy. And this is for the gal in Colorado Springs, just since 3/24, couple weeks, 2.5 weeks. She's had 106 opens and engagement for that pop-up alone, which is going to get even more dramatic with some of these other examples. So Staten Island, I think he signed up with us in January 2019, February or January. These next 2 guys are both at the same time. Staten Island, 175 calls, 960% more views. Again, are you getting a trend here?
By the way, this is just 1 month.
1 month. This is not even all of tax season.
Yeah.
Normally March is kind of the doldrums of tax season. There's still engagement, but like January, February, lots of engagement. April, lots of engagement. March is going crazy right now for folks. And here's his pop-up, over 130 opens again.
Wait, you put that's like 3 days old.
That's 3 days old. So yeah, that's 3 days old. 3 days old, he's at 134 opens. His website is at 10% increase in sessions, 6% in page views. And now let's go to the behemoth, which is really fun to talk about because this is our buddy, Andy Fry. Andy's spoken on a webinar or two with us recently. He has 4 locations across Los Angeles. This is an aggregate report for all 4 locations for Google My Business. So remember the Google My Business reports we've been looking at? You can see the columns here: search impressions, photo views, total actions, reviews.
Almost everything up columns. More than 100%. Yeah, right now.
Because so go to the fourth column over, second row. Go back for 1 second. He's at a 468% increase in phone calls in this time period, which is not normal. This is a 90-day view. Just to be clear, this is January to April. This isn't 1 month, but he is going through the freaking roof. Here's his pop-up. He actually custom made his own, and we put it up for him. And here's his opens. 8,700 opens since March 24th. His website's had almost 1,000% increase in sessions, 600% increase in page views. This is great and sexy numbers to look at. What's happening is he has an active presence. So if you're kind of lost in the numbers and you're confused, okay, why are we looking at this? What does this mean? What this means is the folks in our kind of, area of service, the people we're serving and building this stuff for and just managing it for them, working with them to get them positioned properly and hit when the iron's hot, they're benefiting. They're getting the traffic. They're growing like crazy.
So Christian, what I hear you saying is that nobody on the internet is searching for tax-related COVID-19 information.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can add a little nuance to that with that next slide, Nate, because that actually is worth talking about. These are keywords I pulled from a tool that we have: stimulus bill, CARE Act, SBA loans. Those volume numbers are for like 30 days, right? So tons of volume. But here's the thing. If that's what you're worried about, guess who's going to actually get to rank for those keywords? Yahoo Finance, other financial institutions, government organization websites.
Forbes.
Forbes, not you. But we're talking about signals to Google. We are posting blogs with that information. And when people get on the site, that's the first thing that hits them with that pop-up. Here's our coronavirus, which we now have like 8 different blogs just in the last month and a half around all this stuff that is keyword optimized for these things. But even more than the optimization, it's authoritative, useful information that's actually helping people. That's the bottom line here. But here's if you've seen this before, I did change the slide. Here's what you should do the next few months. Write blogs now. If you have a newsletter you're getting produced for you, that's not good enough. I have not seen any of our competitors. This isn't a pitch session. This is just reality, because a lot of you might work with our competitors. Maybe you don't, maybe you do. I have not seen our competitors posting anything optimized for this environment yet on behalf of their clients. Do it yourself. If you're not gonna work with us, that's fine. Just have someone do it. Get Google My Business set up if you don't have that yesterday. That is your #1 priority today. Google Ads, man, it's a great time. If you don't rank organically, here's what's true. You will not put up a new website if you work with us. If you start working with us, I'll tell you this on the phone. You will not start ranking organically in your local market the next day your website's up. Organic ranking does take time. I showed you a guy from August 2019 who signed up who's doing really well right now, but in September, he wasn't. That wasn't the case. It takes time. Ads, you can launch tomorrow, and you can start getting traffic tomorrow. So for a lot of you that are behind the 8 ball on having a good ecosystem in terms of ranking with Google, go to ads. Pony up for ads. It'll be better for you in the short term, and you can turn them off in the long term. I'll tell you this from sales calls that we've listened to for our clients that we're working with. One thing that we can't control, which we have evil plans for maybe eventually to help with, this is not a knock against you guys. This is just reality. A lot of you guys have really, really bad sales strategies when someone gets on the phone with you. Your secretary isn't really positioned for that. You may not have, you're bouncing between emails and doing paperwork, and now it's a sales call and you've got to transition. That takes focus and intentionality, and it's just not easy to do.
And let me say this: sales maybe feels like a dirty word to some folks. It shouldn't, but because and Jason and I have been quite luxurious in our stone throwing about pitch bend right now. When properly seen, sales is helping a prospect who doesn't know how to buy, who doesn't know how to engage, who doesn't really know the best next steps. They just know they have a problem, some sort of bleeding neck, some sort of issue, and helping them along the process so that you can answer the questions they most need and give them the solution they most need. So, you've got to actually have some scripts in place, basically some procedures for dealing with people who call about the SBA loans. You can say, we're only dealing with existing clients right now, and that's one option. Or you can build some sort of process to assuage their concerns, get their information, start maybe assisting them in some kind of way that maybe isn't quite as amazing as if you're an existing client, or enroll them as a client at that moment. Okay, but on the regular engagement, not on some special SBA package, which I don't recommend.
I can tell you very specifically with my tax resolution systems manual, my checklist book for tax resolution.
How do people get that, by the way?
Well, they can get that on Amazon.
Okay.
But I get the far fewest number of questions regarding the sales checklist and script section of the manual. And that tells me that that's the section the fewest people are paying attention to. Inside of my Tax Resolution Academy, we have things broken up into courses. The course with the telephone scripts, the demo verbiage, the how to handle those sales interactions has the least number of people going in there and viewing that course. And
I'm telling you, it's a
cringe at that.
It's a bleeding neck.
Right.
Everybody.
You guys need to pay attention to your sales process.
Yeah.
You need to have a sales process.
Well,
I can't tell you. With our ads clients, we get to listen to the calls. So if you're an ads client of ours, I'm snooping on you, and we're listening to that prospect engagement. And some of our folks do a great job. There are people, if that's you, good job. You put in work to do that. Maybe you're a natural at it. You're sales oriented in your disposition. That's great. But a lot of you just need to do some training here, because what we can do and what you can do if you do this yourself, again, if you want to make this happen on your own and, dabble in ads, great. You have to think through getting the top of funnel, you're found, you get traffic, getting them engaged, the middle of funnel, you're starting a conversation, you're giving away something of value, you're emailing them. Okay, if you want to figure that out, you still got to think about the bottom of the funnel. How am I going to close the deal? And that has to be systematized, it has to be thought through. And a lot of you, it's your secretary. A lot of you, it's your gatekeeper. Your gatekeeper has to be trained. That's one area that, man, if we could just wave a magic wand, you guys would just do so much better if there was just a little more intentionality there.
Can I point something out to folks and maybe open the kimono a little bit? Okay.
Have at it.
Yeah.
I want you all to pay attention to that little talk2tpm.com thing in the lower corner of every slide. I want you to go to that website, even if you don't want to book a call. Go to the website, see what's there, pay attention to it. If you do book a call, book the call, and who does those calls? Is it Christian? Is it you or
Christian?
Okay.
And some other. Yeah.
Okay. So when you're having that call with Christian, I want you to have that call and wear two hats. Okay. One, I want you to pay attention to what's going on with what he's actually saying and looking at your business website. But I want you to have on your notepad, split it down the middle, okay, and have one column for stuff about your website. On the other column, make notes about Nate's company's process, okay, because it's a good process. All right. So.
Well, what we do, we do have a series of people that we're helping. It's kind of our highest level. We've built out something similar for tax resolution and for regular CPA firms, where we've got an application process that kind of like gives you a lot more detail with your prospects before they can get access to your calendar.
Yep.
And we're building that out for clients like all the time, where they get all the data in advance of the call. And then look, yeah, so we're opening the kimono. We'd love to serve you. We'd love to engage, the right people from this webinar. We actually get a lot of compliments from people, just the value of these calls, because the way that we do that is it's a consultative process. We figure out what's going on, and we diagnose the problem and help bring solutions. And if it's us, great. Sometimes we say, you know what, you've got a good handle on this. Just tweak this one or two things, roll with it. You're awesome. Go. So, we can be a content engine. We can be an SEO engine. We can be an advertising engine. But honestly, our best clients, like Aurelia, who just said something that was really, really sweet. And she's one of those folks that we built out that kind of application process for. And we see the data of what her prospects put through for her, and it's awesome. But what Aurelia does is she does a bunch of stuff on her own too. She created a Facebook group for her clients for this season. And I'm she and I are friends, so I'm in that Facebook group. It's awesome. She's answering questions in that Facebook group. And so we can be the engine for like all the heavy lifting, but the best ones do a little bit on their own also. So anyway,
let me chime in on that. Because I do a lot of those calls with my associate Ben, who's our ads director. So we're not salesmen. I run our websites and SEO department. Ben runs our ad department, and we roll together. And there's a bunch, but two general buckets of folks that I deal with a lot. There's people that are completely anonymous, and there's people that are doing okay. The wheels aren't falling off the bus. You're not desperate, but you want to go from good to great. So you either are going from complete anonymity to showing up and getting some results and proving to yourself that Google is actually a viable channel for you to get new business. Some of you doubt that still. I hope not. But convincing you that, yeah, digital marketing is a good thing. But then there's others of you where it's like, I've got some reviews, I'm doing okay, but I've got gaps. We can help you fill those gaps. Those are the two types of folks. And regardless of where you're starting from, here's my favorite person. This is just me. This is not a knock against you if this isn't you, but this is the thing that works with us the best and what I love the best. I actually don't want to handle any of this. I want you to deal with everything and make the phone ring and make my email inbox get full, and I'll take care of it. That's just, Nate didn't ask me to say that. No one asked me to say that. That's just, man, our clients that have that disposition, and yes, they engage with us. They can contribute as much as they want. You can write your own emails. You can write your own blog. You can write your own Facebook post. Go for it. My favorite clients are the ones that say, I want you to be my marketing department. So whether it's us or someone else, the one thing you can do to serve your marketing department well, your marketing person well, trust them, lean on them, and use the stuff they're doing, and don't try and be the tax professional business owner and the marketing person. If you have to for a season because you're bootstrapping it, that happens. We talk to people like that where it's like, let's talk in a year, go get some clients, come back, or they find someone else. But whenever you get someone that you trust, lean on them and let them do it for you, because that's going to make your life so much easier. Even if you think you're a pseudo digital marketer and you know some stuff, a lot of you do, just don't try and reinvent the wheel. That's not everyone I deal with, but that's definitely some folks. And it slows the process down, just to let you know, if you want to get going quickly, let us handle it. I'm
looking at the data. We've had scores of people fill out the application already. Bernice said that the link doesn't work. Try the other link that I just put in the chat. Sometimes some browsers don't like redirects, but the redirect from Talk to TPM is to this uglier taxpromarketer.com/leadflow. And then, when you answer the questions, you'll get to a calendar link. Sharonda wanted to know CountingWorks Pros reviews and TaxBuzz reviews from ClientWise. Bernice, I don't know what to say. Maybe there's something with your browser. It's working for scores of people.
I can address that AccountingWorks thing, Nate.
Well, yeah, let's not be too harsh.
Yeah, I won't.
Okay.
You're so much. So Nate is the CEO. I'm just the wizard over here, working on sites. But can I just tell you what that is? That is a website provider who's made their own local listing profile, trying to make it relevant, and it's It's not compared to Google or Bing or Yelp or Apple Maps or
Tax
Facebook.
buzz.
It's not,
Yeah.
tax buzz is not relevant. It's nice. It's one of many. There's about 30 to 40 profiles we claim for each of our clients. Tax buzz is not one of them. One, it's not something we're allowed to build because we're not Accounting Works client, but it's kind of a gimmick. No one is going to look at your reviews on tax buzz. I'm sorry. I don't want to be mean. It's just not something I would ever put time into building for us.
Let's just be fair. There's probably a small amount of traffic that thing gets. I mean, but
it's that's what it is. It's a small amount of traffic compared to Google. That's where you need to focus. And it's not that they don't focus on Google. I think it's just another thing for them to add a value. It's nice. It's not worthless. It's just, I don't spend your time there. Don't have your eggs in that basket. Have your eggs in the basket of Google. So they do great stuff. I'm not knocking them as a company. I just never understood why there's so much emphasis on that profile, as if they want to make it as competitive or relevant as Google. It's never going to happen. It's never going to be as relevant as Google My Business.
Unless they pile in like 8-9 figures into it, which I still don't think that's going to happen, but whatever. All right. So I've got other stuff that we can talk about. I want to kind of open it up. There's a few questions that came in that are kind of backing up and asking different things. Like, Jason, you could say this, answer this one. Karen wanted to know if the EIDL payments that went out today, was it the whole loan or the 10K upfront money, or was it the up to like 1K per employee? What are you seeing?
It's the grant portion, the advance portion of the loan. The SBA is saying that the loan portion will go out next week. And in case you guys don't know this, remember, it is up to $10,000, and they're doling that out because of the limited appropriation. They're doling it out at the rate of $1,000 per employee. And for the phase one, EIDL loans are historically broken up into phase one and phase two processing. For the phase one processing, they're doing the exact same loan amount for everybody.
Yeah.
So everybody's getting a $15,000 loan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what everybody's getting.
Okay.
And so
I've heard the 1K per employee thing.
Yes.
Multiple sources.
Yes.
Okay.
That is what they're doing for the advance, and the advance is the grant.
And so 15,000 just for the EIDL total.
The phase one. So first you're going to get the grant, the $1,000 per employee. Then later, you're like a week later, you're going to get a $15,000 loan, and then like 3 months from now, you'll get the real loan.
Yeah.
Which is the normal SBA formula is 6 months of working capital. So that's why they ask you for gross revenue and COGS.
Yep.
Because they'll give you 6 months of working capital from that.
All right. All right. Let's see. Other questions that have come through. I think that's actually most of it. Jason, are there things that you want to like talk about that we haven't really addressed? Like I told you in the beginning, I told everybody in the beginning, I wanted you to, and what are you seeing with your people? Like, what are some big takeaways you're seeing from an online marketing standpoint?
So the big thing, and you've already touched on this, but it's content. If you're ignoring the content piece, that is something that everybody can be doing. Everybody should be blogging. If you're a tax pro marketer customer, I don't know if you advertise this much, so maybe I'm saying something you'd rather I not. But
let's say it anyways. Here we go.
If TPM runs your website, it's built on WordPress, and they can give you access to post your own blog posts.
Yeah, no, we want people to do that,
and I encourage you to. If
I
you're
do
not
want you to, but I want you to send me blog posts for me to put on, because you guys take your site down when I do that. When I give you access to the WordPress site, you break things. But if you want to write your own blog post, I will put it up for you.
Then do that. For those of you that are not using their services, whoever's running your site, make sure that you have postable access, and that you're writing blog posts. If you're a member of my Tax Resolution Academy, I give you 8 articles a month to modify and post at your leisure. Use those. What I highly encourage people to do is, everything that the IRS produces is produced at taxpayer expense. Those Guidewire emails, those Newswire emails, you can reappropriate those into your own content marketing. Don't put them out there verbatim. I'm sure Christian will, give us the
don't do that.
Content warning, but use them as the basis. Use them as fodder.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I do that all the time because they actually put out like information that like to the professional, the pro stuff before they put it out to anyone else. And so I'm on that list and I'm like readapting that content on behalf of our clients all the time.
Absolutely. So, and within, obviously I'm a one-trick pony in the resolution space, but everything that's going on in regards to the all the call centers are closed. Boom, that's a blog post. Collection activity suspended through July 15th. That is a blog post. Don't put everything on one long, complicated blog post. Break this stuff up and talk about the human impact element. People love human interest stories. So all the call centers are closed. That's the factual piece. Then if you have stories about how this is impacting your ability to represent your clients, write up those stories. Okay. Anything that I primarily do a lot of continuing education webinars, so it's all technical stuff, but take one little piece and that's a blog post, right? Like, so if you're attending a PPP webinar, like we did on Tuesday, Dan and I are doing another one tomorrow. Take one little piece and write a blog post about that. So for example, the 2.5 times average monthly payroll, that's a blog post, not the entire program.
But I would say that's not an email.
No.
That
it's too technical.
Email requires a different touch.
It's too technical.
We do like often use some of the email content also as blog posts, but we have to change them significantly per client so that it's not the same for everybody, but also just because you say things differently in an email than you would say in a blog post.
Correct.
And so when you are emailing your people, you should be emailing them some of this info also, but it's got to be digestible and in a relationship oriented way. Think of email when you little open kimono tip here on email. When you're writing an email, think of a person that you are writing to and write to one person. It's not a memo to all of your people on high. It is, you are writing to the recipient. And so write to, like you're writing a real email that you would write to your friend, and go forth and prosper. I mean, that's how you do it.
And the big thing I want to say about tax resolution, 2 things, 15 things, but I'll limit it to 2, is first of all, right now is a huge opportunity to get your pre-resolution actions taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay. Because liens and levies are suspended, ACS is out of business. Revenue officers are not being assigned new cases. They're working their existing inventory, but they're not taking new cases. You're not going to get anything done at the IRS. So it's you have like the IRS, the big sleeping dragon, take advantage of the fact that they're sleeping. And between now and July 15th, when collections have slated to open again, do the things you need to do that don't involve the IRS. Get people on a budget. Get those unfiled tax returns done. Get the bookkeeping caught up. All these pre-resolution actions you have to do those for your existing clients. The second thing is you need to triple down, not even double down, triple down on all of your marketing. I mean, all of it, online and offline. Triple down on your content, triple down on your ad spend, triple down on your direct mail, triple down on your relationship building with other tax professionals that you're going to get resolution referrals from. The reason is because with all these people that are losing their jobs, all these millions of businesses that are shuttered, guess what? even with the stimulus bills, even with all the government relief that's out there, the fact of the matter is there are going to be millions of more people that can't pay their 2019 taxes, and businesses that can't pay their payroll taxes.
So, that's why it would make sense to do it now.
Yes.
So if you are especially from an organic standpoint, if you can get a website out in the next 30 days that's oriented towards your niche, towards your local area, and resolution centric, and then come August, feeding frenzy begins.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about what they're doing with the IRS forms, Jason?
No.
Yeah.
I would imagine that the first couple probably won't happen at all. That's just a guess. But, yeah.
Okay, so a couple other questions. Stephen Venuti, one of my guys, I think he's one of your guys too.
Yep.
Does a sole proprietorship with one employee get 1,000 or 2,000 from the EIDL?
So the sole proprietor, basically, here's the way to look at it. Anybody that's paying Social Security and Medicare tax, that's a tick mark, right? And they get $1,000. So the self-employed person is paying SE tax, one employee paying payroll tax, so you get 2,000 in that scenario.
Seth wants you to post the link to the reusable content, the IRS thing.
Just go do a Google search for IRS Newswire and IRS Guidewire. Those basically, you want to be on the IRS email lists, and so Guidewire and Newswire. Quick Alerts is probably worth subscribing to as well.
Okay,
so,
this is interesting.
Those three.
This is interesting from the chat. I don't know if you're seeing this. Michael Macaroni said that he had a client get a grant for $3,300.
Are you sure that wasn't there? One, I would double check and make sure it's not something else.
That's interesting.
And so double check what it is. And if they have no employees and their revenue was really small, that might be their entire loan.
That's interesting. Yeah. Karen wants to know about the Snap-on tool truck owner, as an example, W-2 employee, but gets paid on commission. There's nothing really there, right? Within the SBA.
So their commissions are paid on the W-2, right?
I think so.
So they're an employee.
Yeah.
They are not a business owner.
Right.
I don't know how that business model works for Snap-on tools, but if they're 1099'd, then they're self-employed,
right? And
they're good to go.
You are doing this stuff. I'm also good. Dominique has agreed for me to do another one with her next Friday, a week from today, because I was talking to her on the phone yesterday. She's got some inside scoop from some stuff that she wants to share.
Cool.
So look out for a link to that. I'll email everybody that. Jason, maybe I'll pull you on that too.
Okay.
If you're willing.
Yeah, I should be available on Friday.
Like we did last time when you were there as an attendee, and then you.
That was totally not planned. I was like, wait, what? I got to plug my thing in? All right.
Yeah. Okay, this is interesting. Jake wants to know, I'm wondering what people are selling these days. When people are calling in because their businesses are shutting down, they need some info on how the loan program works, et cetera. There's still nothing to sell. How are you making your ROI on a marketing spend? That's a great question. Jason, I have thoughts. Do you have any?
Oh, for sure.
Why don't you share yours first? I'll bring mine.
So first of all, the prohibition on collecting a fee by providing agent services, and the definition of agent is way beyond the scope of what we have time for, but that only applies to the PPP loan. Okay. On the economic injury disaster loans, you can charge a reasonable fee. Okay. You can charge a fee. Please don't be charging your clients $2,000, $3,000. Please don't. It should be, in my estimation, it should be a few $100, so there is something there to sell to help recoup ad costs. But the bigger thing there is that if this is a brand new lead, then there is the opportunity to do all the things that you do anyway.
Right.
Okay. So have they filed their tax return yet? Yes or no? Are they, do they need tax planning? If you offer any kind of, financial planning or wealth management services, do they need help there? Are they a resolution prospect? If they're a business, can you help them at least assemble the documents that they're going to need to support their PPP loan application, or the employer retention tax credit? Is there something there? The Form 7200. Look, your consultation should be broad spectrum. Look at their entire tax, accounting, and financial picture, not just the loan.
Yeah, there's money to be made in helping people through bankruptcy and just all of the cruddy things, but that's what we do in our industry. That's especially resolution folks. I mean, that's what you do. You help people in distressed situations and you get paid for it. And yeah, I mean, you might think there's no money to be had, but there is always money there. I would also say these services are an opportunity to begin relationships with businesses that you can help save, and then you can take them on as a retainer client when they've been saved.
Right.
So you can get the quick upfront payment for the EIDL or something like that. Sherpa them through the rest of it, and they're yours for life if you can help them. So yeah, it's maybe not the immediate jolt, but even on the immediate side, there's always money. Business owner, I mean, it's just priorities, right?
Right. Remember, I started in tax resolution in January of 2008, okay, during one of the worst economic periods in American history. And, I grew a practice from under $1 million to over $3 million in less than a year and a half. And when I went into private practice, still during the recession, at the beginning of the recovery, when I started my practice, $0 to $500,000 a year in less than a year. And so I know part of me hates to say this, but the beauty of tax resolution is that it's a great business to be in when the economy is tanking. It is a recession-proof business because people need help. And then, people will always find the money to pay for the things that they really want. I mean, look at the huge increase in alcohol sales right now. I'm serious. The huge. Yep. I was at the grocery store the other day, and I saw a lady with her mask on and her rubber gloves on at the self-checkout stand, and she was you could tell she was wigged out by all the people around her, and then she bought a carton of cigarettes. And I'm like, come on, that's going to kill you sooner than the virus will. And I'm just like, I mean, really? So, people find money for what's...
Especially with the respiratory virus going on.
I know, right? People will find money for what's important to them. And so for the, especially on the 941, payroll tax representation, that's the biggest chunk of the resolution market. Those people want to save their business. You're helping save jobs. I mean,
yeah,
they want to resolve their tax problem.
Christian, you got thoughts?
No, I mean, Nate, I think you said it well, but I think the land grab here as an opportunity is you guys are more experts at the tax law and thinking through that and charging. But from my perspective, the folks who get in front of, especially the small business market right now, and serve and help are going to establish long-term relationships that go well beyond this moment. This is a long-term play and a short-term play. And there's just so many folks looking for help that, honestly, I mean, how many of us are probably assuming there's just gonna be a lot of businesses that die because they don't take the steps that are right in front of them. If you can go out and help them and serve and take that attitude, yes, make some money, you are going to have a bigger practice when this is all said and done for years, not for months.
Yeah. Christian, you said a minute ago, you said the words land grab. And that made me think within the SEO space, I mean, obviously there are companies that are just whoosh and they're doing that land grab. Does that like block out the SEO opportunity for the little guy?
No.
Or is there, or are we too late?
No, I mean, so this is, again, hopefully not new information, but generally speaking, in the tax and accounting space, we're not known for being, generally speaking, the most cutting edge, savvy digital marketing tactics.
Right.
Every market we break into, we usually are pretty well established within a few months. And the terms that you're probably referring to are always going to be like, hey, CARES Act. Local tax businesses will probably not rank for that. That'll be news articles. That'll be Forbes. That'll be CNN. That'll be whatever. But when it comes to someone who actually, like the main terms from even the data I showed today, we breezed through some of them. The terms in the last month are still people just simply searching for accountant. They're not going to search for CARES Act accounting SBA help. No one searches for that.
Right.
What they search for in their mind is, I need an accountant to help me with the CARES Act or the SBA thing or whatever. And they just type in accounting firm near me, tax pro near me, tax service, whatever. So like that land grab is always up for grabs. Almost every client that we end up working with, there's always this, let's look at your existing market. Let's look at the competition. And it's just pitiful. It really is. There's always so much opportunity.
And just to, that's exactly right. Just to return what Christian was saying too, you reap what you sow. And I've been writing about this. I know Jason believes this too. Even though Jason and I come from different, like metaphysical standpoints, that's fine. But I think he also agrees that you reap what you sow. And when you sow in good things to a marketplace, good things come back. And, obviously we're all in business. We can't just rely upon like some woo-woo kind of like the, manifesting crap. But it's actually true that when you serve your local marketplace and have that attitude and you serve your clients, word gets around, you feel better, you sleep better at night, you're not a shark, and your people reward you and your local marketplace will reward you. That's just reality.
In the real estate world, they say, all real estate is local.
Right.
Every real estate market, aggregating the entire country is a fool's errand. And so the same thing applies to a lot of search, a lot of content marketing,
Yeah.
your networking, your direct mail, all these other things you do. My colleague Dan, he says, you should strive to be the celebrity tax pro within your local market. Okay. And trust me, that's a title nobody else is going to want. So you might as well go grab it for yourself. Right. And leverage that into media appearances. Yep. And, getting guest columns on your local newspaper website that gets you a backlink to your site. The offline stuff and the online stuff kind of starts to crisscross when you do that.
I would also say, just this is not something you have to do, but this is something that a few of our clients have done, and even some recent prospects I've talked to are wanting to do. Just like we're doing here, we're doing Q&A, we're presenting some information at the webinar. You can do similar things and position yourself and your voice in your market. What we have today, there's slides, obviously the expertise is there, but nothing we did is like something you couldn't do for your existing clients to check in with them, to say, hey, I just want to get on a call and tell you what I'm seeing, what I can help with, or to even do that as a part of, what your website has, to have like a webinar or some video that we produced, whether it was live or not. There's lots of ways you can actually develop a voice right now, and people care. Whereas normally, not that they don't get traction, but people that have produced videos in the past and said, hey, I want all these videos on my site. It's kind of a niche thing. It's like a YouTube video that maybe gets some traffic, but right now, if you're speaking and developing a voice in your face, even is starting to get some recognition in your local market, and people see you and hear from you, this is a good opportunity to develop a brand, to develop a presence. And what we do is like everything you need to do A to Z at like a core level. And if you want to go beyond that, we've got some clients doing webinars. We've got some clients speaking directly to this and reaching out. And
Facebook
it's really
groups. Yep.
Facebook groups, that's Andy Fry. Andy Fry in Los Angeles is slaying it right now. And he was already doing great. And his numbers year after year are always some of my favorites. And, it's
And he's
like,
a
I've
short
never
form
seen-
warrior, so everyone understands.
Yeah.
I mean, he does have business clients, but he does a ton of short form stuff.
It's a funny term. Sorry. Short form warrior.
Actually,
I had never heard that term till a week ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
So that was just some more food for thought. If you can reach out and speak, whether you just get a presence and you're starting to show up, that's a win. We'll be putting up blogs for you. If you work with us, that's a win. But if you can, in the midst of this social distancing moment, even develop some type of a voice, and you want to do that, that's another option.
I would amplify that, and just sort of like what Jason said, reach to the local news stations, and they probably need somebody that can translate the the CARES Act for their audience, and at least offer fodder for what's it like really on the ground for Spokane small businesses who are trying to get the PPP. Because there's national articles about that, but like what's happening locally, and what does the local business do? Because they want the local angle to everything, and they're looking for content. Reach out, be that person.
Well, it's like with the PPP loans. One of the big things that the national media is, they're talking about Bank of America, Wells Fargo, the big banks, but the quickest funding is through those small local community banks
and credit unions. Yep.
And credit unions. And so do exactly what Nate just said, and get the word out through your local media, and you be kind of the reporter, and saying, yeah, XYZ credit union and local bank, they're processing these things in 24 hours, because that's what they are doing, a lot of them. So yeah, be the source.
Kim is in the chat asking us, or asking you, Jason, where you're getting your info. A lot of it's just rumors, like with other industry leaders. As I'm talking to, people who are in the trenches, like leading organizations, I'm getting info. Jason, where are you getting your info?
I assume that she's asking about the disaster loans and the PPP loans.
Yeah.
So the SBA regional offices, they do daily conference calls. Many Congress people and senators are doing like they're using Zoom and other sources. They're doing town hall meetings. And so I scour the internet looking for when those are, and I either attend them or I read the transcripts when they put out the press release. The SBA has been flat out refusing to make a blanket formal public announcement. And so any information that I've been reporting on the EIDLs and the PPP stuff in the short term, that's coming from the SBA regional administrators, or from they often have high SBA leadership people on those town hall meetings with senators. And so the bottom line there is connect with your local representatives, your local Congress critter and senator, find out what they're doing. There is an SBA regional office in most states. So make sure that you're connected with them and the local leadership and whatever they're announcing.
Yep.
Yep.
And we'll do another webinar next week. I'll put it out to everybody on this one. And Jason, you're doing them for your members, and for your non-members, right? You're
Correct.
doing.
Yeah. I've opened up a lot of the stuff I'm doing to non-members as well, just because the information needs to get out there. So if you're looking for stuff on that, my website, taxresolutionacademy.com, you can find out more about what myself and Dan Han are doing over there.
Jake, if you just cut and paste that URL I just posted, you should get right to the a Treasury fact sheet on the PPP that is not terrible.
If you just go to treasury.gov, across the top of the website, there's a red banner for
Okay.
COVID-19. Click on that, and it'll take you to a page with all kinds of FAQs, borrower and lender fact sheets, all that.
Yeah. I just posted one of the PPP ones.
Yeah.
From there. Yeah. So there's just a lot to talk about with this stuff, and we'll keep going. I've been doing more webinars in the last month than I think I did in the last 6 months. And,
Same here.
We're here. So if you do want implementation help, you want to figure out how to like position yourself to win come August, because we do work with resolution businesses. We do advertising and website SEO, all that just for resolution, but we love working with every kind of tax and accounting firm. So we're your Huckleberry if you want that. Bob, you may proceed, sir. Sorry, I get started quoting Tombstone and I can't stop. But anyway, Jason, any kind of final words? A question. James wanted to know, Wells Fargo got the okay to start answering or to start lending again.
They did. The Federal Reserve lifted temporarily their asset cap. However, it's up to Wells Fargo as to whether or not remember, it's up to the banks whether they want to participate and to what extent they want to participate.
Yeah.
So
Dave wants to know, okay, let's maybe take the time to answer this live because he didn't understand. I think you typed it. How do you get paid by the SBA or lending bank if you're an agent for our clients on the PPP?
So if you meet, and again, we don't have time to define what makes you an agent or not, but you need to understand that definition first. But if you are providing agent services, meaning you're filling out the application or doing a bunch of the other stuff that makes you an agent, for a PPP loan only, okay, a PPP loan only. Any other SBA loan, this does not apply. But for a PPP loan, the lender, by statute, must be the one that pays your fee. The applicant, the business applicant, cannot pay you a fee for agent services in relation to a PPP loan. The problem is that there is no legal requirement for the lender to pay such fees. Okay, they are not mandated to do so. If they don't want to, they don't have to, and they can tell you to pack sand.
Yeah,
okay?
and I've heard from a bunch of my clients that the lenders are saying pack sand. Like
every lender is saying pack sand. The only exception might be if you have an existing, like pre-existing relationship with a small local bank, and they're willing to do that. If you are going to insist on getting paid agent fees for PPP loans, you need to have a written agreement in place with the bank before you do any work. All right?
Because again, it is by statute not kosher to get paid by the business for the PPP.
Correct. And the best thing I can tell you in terms of actually collecting the fee from the bank is, good luck with that. I mean, they're just not paying it because they don't have to.
Yeah.
And so they're not. So if you need to take that into account into regards to whether to what you're going to do with new clients on this. Personally, I would be looking at that labor time as a marketing cost. That is a cost of client acquisition for forging, like Nate and Christian were talking about, forging those deeper, longer term relationships.
Yep.
It's just a cost. It's a marketing cost is how I would look at it.
Yep. And hopefully, like I know people aren't collecting a lot of fees right now, but man, like now's the time. If you've got, reserves, if you've got retained earnings, now's the time to use them to make the investment, to put in the time to do this and to advertise and build, because it really, and some of you are getting fees right now. Renee wants to know, can we charge our CPA services to help fill out the forms? That's kind of a gray thing, right? Like you can charge for compliance on the back end.
Right. So the way the agent rules are written is that if this is an existing client and you normally provide accounting services to them, then you are by definition not an agent. Okay.
Right.
What you're charging them for is like your normal monthly reconciliation and bookkeeping and quarterly 941s, et cetera, you know, whatever your normal services are, but they have to have been a pre-existing client.
Yes.
And you just kind of wrap that up into your normal fee structure, and you do not have to do the fee disclosure. You know, yeah. But if it's a new client, somebody who is not a normal historical accounting client, and they come to you and say, hey, the bank is asking me for a P&L and a personal financial statement. Here's my box, do it. If it's directly in support of the application, you cannot charge a fee for that. Okay, that's the split.
All right, why don't we leave it there? This has been freaking fun, man. We need to do more of this stuff, just the fly by the seat of the pants, like spit out knowledge, take questions kind of thing.
Totally.
I like doing it with you, brother. You're a good friend, and I'm thankful that you are leading your people as well as you are in this season.
Back at you, man.
Yeah. You're very good at what you do, Jason.
And thanks for keeping your team together and not, you know, laying everybody off and keeping the content going. Cause
man, I have been so activated on this. Just I'll end here. I hope you guys are too. I hope everybody on this webinar sees this as the time to freaking rise up.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I think we all felt some of the energy of this a week or two ago. You've got to find a way to keep it going. You've got to find a way to lift up your clients, because you have a business that isn't getting completely nuked. There are so many people who are struggling so badly. 16.6 million unemployed now.
Yeah.
It is a bloodbath, and you are not yet part of that number. So therefore, you have an obligation, I would say, to rise up in this moment, help your business owner clients rise through this, survive through this, and like sow something good and I'll use a biblical analogy, be a Joseph in this season. That's the guy who stored up the food for the pharaohs for 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Seriously, guys, you need to be that now. You need to be the ones that your clients like can cling to, and don't be a shark about it, but help them, lift them up out of the pit. And when you do that, you will build something that you will be so proud of. Your spouse is going to be so proud of you. You're going to build something big. You're going to make a bunch of money down the line. Only good things come. But it is time to rise, get out of your turtle shell, market, get your information out there, form relationships, be proactive, get your crap together, and do this thing good.
What he said.
Damn straight, man.
Did you see that comment there? Be a broseph.
That's funny. All right.
I concur.
Great. Rock on, everybody. We'll be in touch. I'll send you the recording. You'll get the video of this. I'll try to edit out the early times when we were dealing with Jason's feedback on his microphone. So, love you guys. Peace.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.